Well, after traveling the world and earning his living as a DJ for 10 years, Benjamin Alexander, for the first time in his life, put on a pair of skis just 6 years ago. At 32 years old, most would see attaining basic competence as a big achievement, but not Alexander. Unlikely as it seemed, he set his sights on qualifying for the Winter Olympics, and last week, the British-born 38-year-old achieved his dream by securing his place at the Beijing 2022 Games. He will become the first athlete to represent the black, green and gold in Alpine skiing come the February 4 to 20th event. Benjamin, who says he was inspired by the 1988 Jamaican bobsleigh team that was immortalized by the movie Cool Runnings, now hopes to inspire the next generation of Jamaican alpine skiers. Benjamin Alexander joins us now. Welcome.
Hey, Benjamin. Hi, how are you doing? Thank you for having me.
Doing fine, we're doing fine. Well, Benjamin, you've had almost a week to let it sink in. Describe your emotions having created history for Jamaica.
Well, hold on. It's only been 5 days. Don't call it a week yet.
And no one's counting. We're not counting.
Oh, I'm counting every minute. It's been madness, absolute madness. No, it's been absolutely fantastic. My primary feeling has been that of relief that this plan has succeeded and I got this thing over the line. And I'm so happy to be following in the footsteps, as you said in the intro there, from the guys from the 1988 bobsled team that were in the movie that I loved so much as a boy.
You know, what intrigues me the most about having this interview with you is this story. DJ turned skier and, you know, just a background. So can you share to our viewers who don't know the story?
Yeah, so I graduated from University in London, then had a career in finance, which I gave up. You know, they say don't give up your day job. I ended up becoming a DJ, quite successful. I went all around the world, performing across 5 continents, over 30 countries. Saw this incredible thing called skiing when I was invited to DJ at a ski party and decided that I wanted to do that. Never did I think that I would go to the Olympics. I just wanted to be able to ski and keep up with my friends. And then after all of the Cool Runnings jokes were thrown at me for years and years and years, and after going to the Olympics in 2018 as a spectator and realizing that our country only had 3 winter athletes when we're such a powerhouse in the Summer Games, I thought maybe I'll give this a try. And now, you know, as you said, very proudly, I'm the beginning of the Jamaican Alpine ski team, which is the main event of the Winter Olympics. And I hope to be the first of many, many athletes that will do our country proud.
Benjamin, from your response just now, you said our country. Your dad is from Jamaica. Your mom is from Britain. Why Jamaica, and how difficult was it a decision to choose Jamaica?
You know, I consider myself a global citizen. I've lived all over the world. I've visited 1/3 of the world's countries. I never really have a permanent address for long. But in 2020, I spent 4 months in Jamaica, visiting where my father was born and traveling every single mile of the coastline. Now, why did I choose Jamaica as opposed to England, even though I grew up in England and spent a big chunk of my life there? Now, as a mixed race boy, or as a mixed race person, you always represent the minority of the group you're in. If I'm with my white friends, I'm the black guy, and if I'm with my black friends, I'm the white guy. But skiing is always white people, so I'm always the black representative. So whenever I was a skier, I was always that black representative, that black ambassador. And when it came to thinking about taking this to the next level, there was never a choice. There's no Cool Running story for England.
Benjamin, let me ask you this. You've gotten to a level of competency in skiing that it takes most people a lifetime to accomplish. Take us through that process. What was it like at the beginning, and when did you begin to get the mastery level that eventually got you to the Olympics?
Yeah, anyone that's known me for a while will tell you I'm kind of one of those fanatical people. I think we all have a friend like that, where they pick up a hobby and a couple of months later they're telling you like all of the intricacies that they shouldn't have known until they were 4 or 5 years into it. And that's exactly how I've been with skiing. I mean, I've skied 450 days out of the last 2 years. And the only reason that number is not closer to 700 is because the borders to the southern hemisphere, where they have winter, where we have summer, were closed for both seasons. And I've just really, really taken a deep dive on this thing. And I love it so much. I mean, people ask me, what's the first thing you do after the Olympics? I want to go skiing. What's the first thing you do after qualifying? I want to be skiing. Unfortunately, there's just so much work to be doing right now. getting into Beijing is going to be incredibly difficult. I've been working with the JOA very closely over the last few days to make sure that we tick all of the right boxes so that I can get into the country under these really strange circumstances. But as soon as the desk job is done and I can throw this laptop away, I'll be back on my skis, mark my words.
But the mastery of the skill itself is one thing, but it's a physically demanding sport. You've got to have really strong legs. You have to have a strong upper body to keep you stabilized. Tell me a little bit about the work that went into making you physically ready to take on this challenge.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're describing a lot of our Jamaican athletes that are in the track and field realm. And I think that we can get a really strong ski team from the pool of talent that we already have in Jamaica and the diaspora. For me, it was really about as much time on snow as possible. The video that's just finished right there was me training in Austria. Austria is one of the best countries on the planet in skiing, Austria and Switzerland, where I am now. And look, if you want to learn something, you go to the best. There's a reason so many countries go to Jamaica to learn how to run the 100 meters.
Well, let me ask you another thing. Has to do this time to do with the DJing. What kind of DJ were you? Were you a house guy or reggae dancehall? What kind of DJ were you?
So what's really interesting, when I started DJing 22 years ago, I was DJing a type of music called garage, which was this underground electronic music that was heavily influenced by Bashment, Beanie Man, Elephant Man, Capleton, all of these sounds. I eventually left that behind, and my professional career was DJing a type of music called house and techno, which is not so big in Jamaica. So even though I've played in some places in the Caribbean, my DJing never took me to Jamaica. I never traveled with my parents as a kid. I mean, the first time I ever stepped foot on a plane was age 19. And so that's why I didn't get to Jamaica until recently.
Yeah, so is it that now that you're heading to the Winter Olympics, the DJing aspect of your career done for?
Yeah, I mean, look, the two things are the complete polar opposite. I used to live in the party mecca called Ibiza, which is a small island near Spain. And in Spain, but just off the mainland. And when I was living there, I'd be waking up at 10 p.m., going into the club at 2 a.m., and maybe getting home to sleep at 4 p.m. the next day. Now, as a skier, my life is the complete opposite. I'm waking up at 6 to go skiing, and honestly, by 5, 6 p.m., I'm exhausted. I have to fight to stay awake till 9, 10 o'clock. So all of these Jamaican TV shows are bringing me up way past my bedtime.
Yeah, I can imagine. So as we get ready for the Winter Olympics set for February, what would you consider a success?
Yeah, look, so this is a really important point. My success is qualification. I feel like I've won my gold medal already. I'm going to be so excited to be in that opening ceremony. The opening ceremony is going to be like my medal ceremony. What my story is all about is encouraging the next generation of Jamaicans to start earlier than 32 so that we can have a real chance at medaling. I've already identified 3 Jamaicans in New York that started skiing when they were less than 2 years old, and they've been race training for the last 10 years. So they're now 14 years old, and these guys are going to come with force when we get to the 2026 games in Italy.
Okay, so the Jamaica Bobsled and, of course, Skeleton Association, they're sending historically 3 teams to the Winter Olympics next month. You know, what's your relationship with that association so far, and how do you think it can, yield even greater benefits?
I mean, we're just making history all around, right? 3 Bob teams, the first time sending an Alpine ski member. I'm so happy for that. This is going to be the biggest contingent of athletes Jamaica has ever sent. And if we keep progressing in this direction, maybe soon it will be a powerhouse. I interact all the time with Dudley Stokes, so much so I consider him a mentor of mine. We speak every week, and quite often it's a lot more often than that. It's been daily over the last 3 weeks, and Dudley was obviously the pilot of the 1988 bobsled team and beyond. I also interact with his brother, and I have very casual interactions with the other athletes over Instagram. We all support each other, and we all stay in touch. I haven't met any of them in person, and I'm super excited to do that in Beijing. Hopefully we'll get to hang out a bit before the opening ceremony.
Yes, sounds really exciting. Now, we know the Winter Olympics would be a short-term goal right now. But after that, any plans, or will it depend on what happens at this Winter Olympics?
Yeah, so as many of the viewers know, Richard Salm, who was quite a prominent figure on the island, died in a car crash just a few months before Christmas. And Richard was the founder of the Jamaican Ski Federation. I've been doing a lot of the administrative work to help keep the Ski Federation moving forward in my bid to get to the Olympics. And after the Olympics, I would love to have more of a formal role in the Ski Federation so I can use my experience of qualifying for the Olympics and my experience of finding sponsors and my experiences of learning how to get to this level so that the next kids that come behind me don't have to make the tons and tons of mistakes that I made on my way there. And I'd love to be involved in Jamaican skiing sports for the next several games to come.
Yeah, and Benjamin, you're pushing the idea of Jamaican athletes getting involved in skiing and whatnot, but we can't ignore the fact that we don't have ice here. I've never seen snow in Jamaica, and I'm based here for the past 2.5 years. How difficult will it be for them? What would be the plan?
Yeah, look, this is a great question, and I get asked it all the time, and I love numbers. I love statistics, so let's give you a couple. There are 2.7 million Jamaicans on the island. You guys know that. There are 2 million Jamaicans across the United Kingdom, Canada, and the United States, and it's the diaspora where we will initially get the next round of talent. Once we are successful, once we start to medal in the winter sports, I am sure that there'll be so much more money poured into the winter sports development that we can find talent in Jamaica. We can train talent in Jamaica, dryland training, and then be able to afford to send our most talented athletes to the best places in the world, like Switzerland, like Austria, like Canada and the United States, to go training. And then we can start to really get some talent from that's homegrown.
How expensive is it to be a skier? I'd imagine it'd be very expensive.
It is ridiculously expensive. I'm probably about $100,000 US dollars in debt on this project. And the costs of my equipment and my coaching staff and support staff is maybe 1/10 of that of what a normal athlete would have. I mean, I'm competing with people that have not only been skiing since they were 2, they've been racing at the highest level for the last 20 years, and they have a full-time coach, a full-time technician to help them with their equipment, and they're showing up with 20 different pairs of skis to one event, and will choose the perfect ski for each day depending on the weather conditions and how the snow is feeling. Even despite the fact that I spent as much money as I just said, I'm still just showing up with one race ski, and I don't have a full-time technician or a full-time coach that's on payroll. So it's a really expensive sport, but no one competes with Jamaica when it comes to the winter sports in terms of the reputation and the brand value. There's a reason I've had so much more press and coverage than the other exotic nations that also qualified for the games, and that's because of Cool Runnings and because of what the guys did in 1988. And if we harness that power, we can find a lot of money for our next generation of athletes. I'm certain of it.
Let me ask you this. You're friends with Dudley Stokes. His father hired me at the Gleaner almost 30 years ago. So I'm very familiar with the family, and I know they're very, very sports-oriented. Give us a sense of what triggers did Dudley get? I mean, what triggered you through Dudley's conversations that got you to make that final decision? Because based on what you just said, this was a major step into the unknown. It's not easy to make those kind of steps when you don't have a safety net to fall into. That took some guts to make a decision like that.
Yeah, so I went full-time with this project maybe about 6 months before I connected with Dudley. And for me, Dudley does 2 really powerful things. First of all, he validates my story. His trust and confidence and belief in me and my success shows that someone that's been there before many times, he's been at 6 Winter Olympic Games, believes that I can do it. And that helps me find sponsors and find support. Another thing is that Dudley and his team, they wrote the book on doing outlandish things at the Winter Games, right? Especially for Caribbean nations. And so whenever I'm having an issue, such as having to bounce between 6 or 7 different coaches within the space of a week or 2, I can reach out to Dudley, and Dudley can share a story from his past where it was probably even more crazy than my situation, and just twist the story and give it back to me with a positive light and send me back on my way with a smile on my face. And so having Dudley on my team has been huge, and I've been so grateful to have connected with him 18 months ago.
Well, Benjamin, we're wishing you all the best here at SportsMax, and we're looking forward to see you not only compete at the Winter Olympics, but I'm looking to see you medal. And just a reminder that we'll be carrying the Winter Olympics here on SportsMax.
Yeah, man, we'll be rooting for you all the way, huh?
Amazing. Make sure everyone tunes in. It's not just the summer games we have to watch.
Yeah.
Exactly. You heard it from Benjamin Alexander. Thank you again.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Peace.
You're welcome. So, Leighton, of course, a very inspirational story. An interview that I was looking forward to most today. And, you know, I'm just looking to see how he medals.
Yeah, I think he'll do well because of his confidence. And when I say do well, I don't expect him to probably end up on the podium.
Okay.
But I think with the confidence that he exudes, I think he'll finish somewhere within the top 10, 15 in the Alpine skiing, because that in itself is an accomplishment. I think he demonstrates what it's like to believe in yourself in ways in which many of us can't. And I think that makes a difference between great athletes and average ones. And I think he's a perfect example of that.
Yeah, and for our viewers who'd be tuned in, just a reminder, they won't want to miss this event, and we'll be carrying all live action here on SportsMax. They can download the app, they can head across to our website. Leighton will be writing the top stories on it.
Well, I'll be back at work then, yes.
You're back at work right now. We're taking a quick commercial break, and we'll be back. We have so much more to talk about.